So with that, before we get going into today's main session, I would like to first pass it to Larry Gentry for a few introductory slides on C-Store. Larry?
Yeah, thanks, Kim. First of all, thank you for your time in participating today and joining us for this webinar. Hopefully you'll find it informative and you'll learn something, quite frankly, about NetApp that you may not have known. I'm sure most of you think of them as a storage company, and they have historically done a lot of that, but they've got a lot of other solutions out there that'll help a lot of our clients with some of the things they're struggling with, which is how am I going to manage my infrastructure when I'm using the cloud and on-premise. So we'll get a little bit to that a little bit later. So a little bit about us, if you don't know, C-Store is headquartered here in the Phoenix metro area. We have won many awards out there, been in business for a long time, going on our 20th year we just started, so we're not a Johnny-come-lately. And we really pride ourselves on having an engineering focus. And our objective is to help you solve the problems or reach the objectives that you want. So we do that through best breed technologies. We don't sell everything to everybody. We have some opinions about what works out there, and we'd love to share that with you guys out there. We kind of focus on three primary areas: digital transformation, how do you get to the cloud, how to use it; cybersecurity, we have a great cybersecurity practice, and historically we grew up as a data center provider. So anything in those areas, we've got a lot of expertise. We'd love to help you. Our approach, we think, is a little bit different. Clients come first. Vendors are not what drives our business. We are agnostic. Our objective at the end of the day is to make sure that you're successful, and we're highly specialized. We are not great at everything, but what we are good at, we're really, really good at, and we'd love to have a conversation with you guys about that. You know, you can't just sell people solutions. You've also got to make sure that you help them integrate it. You've got to handhold, you've got to teach, you've got to come alongside them. So whether it be staff aug or cybersecurity or data migrations or implementations or even optimization to some of your existing stuff, we want to make sure that we have the services to be able to help you be successful with whatever solution that you guys deploy. So with that, I'm going to turn over in a minute to Kyle Kuntz and Dante. But as I said earlier, most of you know NetApp. Both these guys work for NetApp, as a guy that came up as a NAS and then a SAN and then a storage player. NetApp has been working very hard and acquiring companies and developing solutions that not only help you with how you manage your storage, but how do you solve all the problems that come with using the cloud? Cloud has a lot of great things for us. How do I manage the growth on-prem or in the cloud? How to determine where data ought to live? It's a struggle that every customer has, and I'm sure they're going to share with you the product that they have called Cloud Insights. You don't have to have NetApp storage to make it work. It will work with any storage products that you have out there on-prem or in the cloud that can help you manage that. So even if you aren't a fan or a client of NetApp, and we think they're pretty darn good, this software can help you regardless of what platform or products they're using. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kyle and to Dante.
Perfect. Thank you, Larry. So before I get started, I just want to take a quick moment for some introductions. I'm Kyle Kuntz. I'm a cloud solution architect at NetApp, and I focus on Cloud Insight specifically, as well as an older on-prem version called On-Command Insight. I'm based up here in Utah, and Dante, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely, thank you. So as Kyle mentioned, I am Dante Mancini. I am the Cloud Insight Sales Specialist. I've supported NetApp for the last 3 years. In this role for the last 6 months. Really excited to be talking to you. And thank you to Larry and team. The C-Store has been a great partner, and we look forward to talking with you a little bit more now.
Perfect. Thank you, Dante. Okay. So a couple of things I want to talk about today. Really, I want to start with the high level of what Cloud Insights is, what it was built for, how it may help your organization today or down the road. We're going to take some time and look at the key use cases. What I would say, really, the majority of my customers are leveraging Cloud Insights for day in and day out. Then we're going to take a moment and just talk about some resources and really some next steps in case there's any possibility that Cloud Insights could actually help you today. So Cloud Insights, at a high level, is our go-to-market monitoring and analytics tool. Cloud Insights is designed to give you visibility into your infrastructure, whatever infrastructure you have, wherever it sits. This is a heterogeneous tool. So as Larry mentioned, this is not just looking at NetApp. This is going to look at other vendors. This is going to look at storage. It's going to look at compute. And we don't care if that's on-prem, if it's in the cloud, public cloud, hybrid cloud, we want to give you visibility into that infrastructure regardless of what infrastructure you are utilizing. So with all of this visibility, really, we're here to help you monitor this infrastructure, keep things optimized, and secure your ONTAP file shares. Let's talk about this. Now, before I get into some of these use cases, I'm sure many of you have a lot of monitoring tools today. So many of the customers I work with day in and day out are leveraging a combination of element managers to look at particular silos of infrastructure, as well as some dedicated monitoring tools to look at, let's call it business critical applications and the supporting infrastructure. So how is Cloud Insights different? Well, first of all, Cloud Insights was built for future technologies while still being able to ensure we can monitor any of our legacy technologies. We focus on end-to-end analytics. What do I mean by this? So a lot of your monitoring tools, they're going to focus on what a particular device or platform is doing and how that could be impacting other things in the environment. Cloud Insights is going to focus on the relationships between all of these devices in the environment. So we're not only looking at how particular components of infrastructure might be performing, what capacity is being consumed, how things are configured, and trying to answer questions around that or drive better optimizations. We're also looking at the relationships between them. This is very, very important when it comes to things like understanding resource contention. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We also are a SaaS platform. So this is really important in today's day and age when it comes to monitoring in a hybrid cloud era. Why? We're all taking advantage of resources that are designed to be able to burst when we need them to scale on demand as necessary. And we want to ensure your monitoring solution follows, your visibility follows. If you need to go out and fire up a lot of things in the cloud or grow your cloud footprint very quickly, maybe scale it back quickly, Cloud Insights will scale automatically as you grow, whether that's on-prem or in the cloud. And another way Cloud Insights is different is really how you consume the tool. There's a lot of great tools out there that are purpose-built for giving you, let's say, application level specifics, right? Particular silos and specific metrics off of those silos. Challenge is a lot of these tools, they really require a subject matter expert to get the most value out of them. We've built Cloud Insights to drive better efficiencies across the entire stack. So all of your different organizations can really leverage the tool, from your application teams to your compute teams, cloud teams, storage teams, and all get that same view of the entire infrastructure, making them more efficient in their day-to-day activities, and also driving optimizations across all of that infrastructure, regardless which component we're talking about. That gets even more important as you start taking advantage of cloud resources where we're paying on an hourly basis. Now, I do think it's important to highlight Cloud Insights does a lot more than we have the time to get into today. So one of the things I'm gonna recommend is, if any of this is of interest, please follow up with Dante or myself. We are happy to have a deeper conversation. The entire team would love to meet with you and dig a little deeper. But goes without saying, there's a lot that Cloud Insights can do. There's a lot of different ways we can help your organization. And today, we're gonna focus on really some of the key use cases. The areas where I would argue the majority of my customers are using the tool day in and day out. So one of the biggest use cases of Cloud Insights is quick visibility. Cloud Insights, as we mentioned, is built to monitor all sorts of infrastructure. What you're looking at here on this screen is many different technologies we can go out and start pulling metrics on in a matter of minutes. So this visibility, it's going to extend from on-prem storage, all different kinds of storage, SAN and NAS, through fiber channel networks, NAS, all the way out to your applications and the hosts they're sitting on, whether we're using VMs or we're using containerized applications and taking advantage of things like Kubernetes. In one tool, you can get visibility through that entire stack. And not only visibility into how these assets or devices are performing, what capacity they're utilizing, and what they're connected to, but also how their performance can correlate with some of the other assets in the environment. So in one tool, you can get answers on your entire infrastructure, no matter what infrastructure you have today or where you're going tomorrow. So with this visibility, there's a lot of great things you can do. I would say at the top of the list is driving optimization across your infrastructure. And this is really important, no matter which type of infrastructure you're utilizing today. So on-prem, we all tend to over-provision resources, both compute and storage. It's something we've done for years. Why? It ensures we have the performance we need, we have the headroom we need, and we're not constantly having to go out and order more resources on demand. We have what's necessary. With this, typically comes a lot of waste. Now, initially it might not be a big deal, but over time this waste can grow considerably. Cloud Insights can help you very quickly and easily identify where you have waste so you can drive better utilization and really get the best out of the investments you already have on-prem. Now we start talking about cloud, this gets even more important, right? Once you start leveraging cloud services or infrastructure sitting in the cloud, you're paying for it on an hourly basis. So optimization isn't just about consuming what you own, but it's ensuring you have the right instance types, whether that is compute or it's the storage that it's leveraging. So if you're on the wrong instance type, you're either running into a wall with performance and your applications are not performing, or on the flip side, you've gone out and treated cloud like you would on-prem infrastructure and picked instance sizes that are potentially more than what you need. So with Cloud Insights, again, with some dashboards or executive level reports, we can very easily identify this waste, identify where there's opportunities to potentially change instance types and drive higher utilization, better optimizations, and really ensure you're getting the best bang for your buck. This really applies to on-prem as well, and even future technologies like Kubernetes and containers. It all comes down to being able to ensure you're hitting SLAs by being able to measure and drive that higher utilization across those platforms. Cloud Insights is also going to leverage machine learning and artificial intelligence to save you a whole lot of time and worries. So our machine learning is going to do a couple different things. Now, what I would say is probably the most important thing is leveraging some of our patented technologies to automatically correlate devices in your environment. So when an application isn't performing, many of us end up in some sort of war room. You've got some experts from the storage team. You've got some experts from the compute team. You probably have the application developer and owner, some experts on the application side. And when things aren't performing, it kind of becomes not my fault, not my component of infrastructure, almost a bit of a blame game. And this can waste a bunch of time. It can waste a bunch of resources and really just delay getting the problem fixed. So Cloud Insights is going to go through and automatically correlate how all of these objects in the environment are impacting each other. What this means to you is a reduced mean time to resolution. When you need to troubleshoot an issue, you can see at a glance if it's a storage problem, if it's a compute problem, if it's a fiber channel problem, and more importantly, at what layer, right? When we talk about storage, it could be a node utilization problem, it could be a storage pool problem, it could be a workload issue. We're going to look at all of this, and you don't have to do anything. It's just automatically being done in the background so that when you have an issue, or if you're curious how these things are interacting, you can just pull up a page and literally see it right there. All of the resources that correlate and where you may have some greedy or degraded resources that are impacting the performance of other devices in that data path, or maybe even outside of that data path. The machine learning is also building topologies between all of these objects, so visually you can actually see how these things are mapped together. This is really important. As our environments grow and scale, they tend to get much more complex. And with that, sometimes it can be a bit of a burden to understand exactly which resources an application is consuming, the entire data path. With Cloud Insights, this is all being built on the back end. You don't have to manually do it. All you have to do is decide which components of infrastructure you want to monitor, and it's going to go through and connect those dots. highlight that resource contention, show you how they're connected, and show you where you have greedy integrator resources. Now, the machine learning is also used to protect your ONTAP NAS shares from ransomware attacks, malicious insider threats, and really anomalous behavior, things that could be a problem in your environment. So the machine learning is essentially building a baseline behavior around how all of your users are accessing files on your ONTAP arrays. So looking at these patterns, it's using this to be able to quickly identify where you have a problem. Now, that brings us to securing your data. So that machine learning is designed to protect your ONTAP NAS shares from ransomware attacks or malicious insider threats. And really what it's going to do is three things that are incredibly valuable in the world of protecting your data sets. The first thing it's going to do is immediately alert you to the problem. If you happen to actually have a ransomware attack or some sabotage, or maybe you just have an employee who's on their way out the door and they're doing some things that maybe they shouldn't, copying a bunch of files out, deleting a bunch of files, changing a bunch of file names, we're going to alert you to this the minute we detect it. Okay, the second thing we're going to do is protect that data set. So some of you might be familiar with ONTAP, might be familiar with NetApp. We can take a snapshot very quickly, very easily. And with Cloud Insights, when we detect one of these attacks, we're basically going to tell that array to take a snapshot on that volume right away. So you're getting alerted to the problem and you're getting the data set protected from further damage. That way, if it's a ransomware attack, we have a point in time we can recover from right before that attack happened. Last but not least, the thing we're going to do that I think provides the most value is give you a comprehensive file audit log. This log is literally going to tell you every file touch in your environment, who the user was, what machine or VM they accessed the file from, what did they do to the file. You get all of these data points. So if you have an attack, or even if you just have some questions around a user's behavior, someone's on their way out the door, you can go in and see everything that user has done, what's normal behavior, where there might be anomalies. And if there's an attack, we can know exactly what was impacted, what snapshot it's protected in, so we can go recover from that attack as quickly as possible.
Kyle, from a not security side, but more just kind of a day-to-day use, is there what kind of experiences have customers had just being able to trace and track file touches around this same tech?
That's a great question. So because we're monitoring all of these file touches, I would say outside of attacks, I've got customers that are benefiting from this on a day-to-day basis. But because we're monitoring every one of those file touches, we now can answer questions like, hey, someone renamed a file. They have no idea what they renamed it to. Easy, we can track that down. That's something I know a handful of my customers, their storage teams are doing this day in and day out. Someone deletes a file, that can be hard to track down. What snapshot is it in? Where did it come from? We can find that information. And I would say many of our customers have this running to protect themselves from the attacks first and foremost. But on the flip side, they're leveraging the tool day in and day out just to get answers around what's happening in their NAS environments. Does that answer that question okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Hey, Kyle, this is Larry. I will tell you, don't discount for many of you the security issues. We do some business, C-Store does, with the federal government, and that is the exact reason that they bought it, was so that they could have early detection and also the renaming of files, because you get an employee that gets disgruntled and they know they're going to quit on Friday, and they go in on Thursday and they rename a bunch of files and make your life a living hell to try and find the stuff, and they just make your life miserable. So one of the federal government customers bought this tool just for the security functionality that it gave them.
Absolutely agree with you, Larry. Couldn't have said it better myself. I would say on the attack side, the nice thing here is because we look at not just ransomware patterns, but actually anomalous behavior, we might be able to catch a pattern before it turns into a full-scale ransomware attack. A lot of these attackers are getting in and slowly accessing files. They're not running a full attack. They need to figure out where they can go and where they can't and work their way deep into the technology stack. Because we're monitoring the way they're touching these files, we can alert you to that before it becomes a bigger problem. Now, I do think as a tool that's looking at your entire infrastructure end to end, it's really important we can alert on that entire infrastructure as well. You may have a lot of different tools today that are giving you alerts for different silos of infrastructure in your environment. Once you're monitoring everything with Cloud Insights, it can become your go-to platform for all alerting. Our alerting is very granular, so you can get down to a very specific event, mapped to a specific application for a timeline. The goal here is to reduce all of the noise so you get an actionable alert, something you know you care about. It goes to the right guy who actually can do something about it and cares about it. On top of that, with email notifications, we've also added in webhook capabilities. And what this means is our alerting is going to very easily integrate with your existing management tools today. Things like ServiceNow, Teams, Slack, MailChimp, PagerDuty, Discord, whatever major communication platforms you're on or ticketing platforms you're leveraging for performance issues in your environment, our alerting can integrate right into that. So in one tool, you can go discover all these things quickly and get alerted to any potential issues so you can go do something about it before it becomes a bigger problem. And I think it's important to hit on Kubernetes as well. So we've talked a little bit about this tool really being built for future technologies. One of the most promising technologies that many of my customers are leveraging today, whether they're just getting started with it or have full production clusters, is Kubernetes. Many of us are building containerized applications, and I feel like those containers and Kubernetes is really what opens up this world of hybrid cloud, where we can seamlessly move these containers around as we see fit. So with Cloud Insights, we're going to give you that same visibility across your traditional infrastructure, your cloud infrastructure, and even look at things like the abstraction on top of that, which would be Kubernetes. Kubernetes can be a bit of a beast to wrap your hands around, because there's a bit of a disconnect between the abstraction of Kubernetes on top of the infrastructure you're leveraging that might already be virtualized. So it might be on-prem, you might be leveraging cloud resources such as EC2, instances and storage. You might even be leveraging services. At the end of the day, understanding what underlying resources are being consumed for those Kubernetes clusters is the difference between treating Kubernetes as a service in your environment and as traditional infrastructure versus a bit more of a science project or a lab project. So with Cloud Insights, what we're doing that's very different from any of the competition is we're not just giving you visibility into your Kubernetes cluster and containers, things like your nodes and your pods and your namespaces and how they all interact and what resources are being consumed, but we're also mapping it to the underlying infrastructure so that you know exactly what resources are being used, how they're performing. Now you can measure against SLAs and treat Kubernetes as traditional infrastructure and offer it up as more of a service to your application teams. Okay, and last but not least, this is a simple SaaS solution. It's very easy to go out and deploy this. It's very easy to get this stood up and start gathering data. You can typically kick off a trial of this in a matter of minutes. There's one VM you need on-prem to start collecting data. And just like that, you pick which components of your infrastructure you need data on. You typically need an IP address and appropriate credentials. And within a matter of minutes, you have data feeding into Cloud Insights. So you can go from literally having no visibility to visibility in your entire infrastructure in under an hour. I do proof of concepts day in and day out, and we can discover hundreds of petabytes and tens of thousands of VMs in under an hour. You can go from a small, say, application team, DevOps team, maybe just caring about a small component of infrastructure, to a large global environment, all with one tenant. So how do you get started with this? If you're interested, first of all, I would say, please reach out to all of us. We're happy to talk more, to dig into it deeper and see how the tool can help your organization primarily. But I do want to highlight, it's very easy to go kick off a trial. This trial is completely open-ended. You can add in any of the objects in your environment you want. It's a 30-day trial. All you really have to do is register on Cloud Central. If you follow this link, it'll take you right to Cloud Insights, give you a bit of an overview on the product, and you'll see right there where you can kick off a free trial. If there is interest in doing that, please reach out to all of us because I can help you throughout the process and ensure everything's ready to go on day one so you can maximize that 30 days and really evaluate if it's right for you.
Thanks, Kyle. This is Larry. I will tell you that, as you said earlier, there's a lot of tools out there that, are not heterogeneous. They're just written for the products that they have. And one of our larger customers was getting serious about utilizing the cloud other than for DevOps and backup targets. And they were scared to death about what it was going to cost them, and unused VMs and storage that had been procured that never got fully used and stayed out there, and they're going to pay for it forever. So they bought this tool primarily for that. They have about 4 different storage products, all three major compute products out there. And what they found, not only preventing some cost overruns as they moved to the cloud and allowed them the visibility to make sure they were utilizing it as efficiently and effectively as possible, what they also found, though, is that they had a lot of storage, particularly storage, a little bit of compute, but a lot of storage on-prem that was sitting out there that was unused, that people have carved up into LUNs and was just sitting there and not being used. And maybe bad for us in the short term, they bought a lot less storage from us in the next 6 to 9 months, right? But good for the customer. They were able to find this storage, repurpose it, redeploy it, and utilize it, and lower their spend in the near term, and then have a tool to make sure they never got to that position in the future. So they bought it for one reason, which was to make sure their cloud costs were controlled and contained, and that they were utilizing it appropriately. But they also found the benefit of making sure that their on-prem stuff, which wasn't being utilized as well as they thought. No matter how good you are, we all could do better. And they really found some incredible benefits from the tool for that. So I love the fact, Kyle, that you got a 30-day free trial. No reason not to kick the tires. I love the fact that it's a SaaS solution, so you don't have to write a big check up front. You can pay for this once a year, monthly, quarterly. We can help you with that as you go. But it is a software tool that can be very, very helpful. And you get 1 month for free. So how good is that? So with that, I know we've taken some questions and we've tried to do a little explanation along the way. Are there any questions from anybody that's on the call?
Hey, Larry, this is Kim. We do have a couple of questions, so you can still post them to the questions pane, but a couple of them did come in. I believe Kyle touched on these in his wrap-up slides, but maybe we can get some more insight and ask him to elaborate, and/or Dante. One question was, how easy is it to implement, which he spoke about, definitely how quick and easy it was. So that may be covered. And the second question was, what is the optimal size environment? So that may be all over the map, but maybe Kyle and/or Dante, or even Larry, if the three of you could talk to either use cases. Are there places where this is really not a good fit?
I would say with Cloud Insights, we can go from small, very, very small scale environments up to really as many assets as you want. There's really no limit to the scale right now. I would say the more complexities you get in your environment, the more important visibility into all of that infrastructure becomes more difficult as things grow to maintain visibility around everything you have. But the tool is still going to help you identify waste in your environment, help still secure your data, even if it's a very small environment. So I think really any size of environment can benefit from Cloud Insights.
Yeah, I think, Kyle, this is Larry. I think and again, I'm not the greatest technologist in the world. I'm the CEO, so I got a different role in the company, but it is priced based upon the size of your environment. So it works, if you got one server and 2 terabytes of data, probably not the tool you need, right? But if you start introducing complexity, you've got multiple applications, it's priced based upon the size of your environment. So big companies, it's not like it's $10,000 for everybody or it's $1 million for everybody. It's going to really depend upon the size of your environment. So that gets done in the sizing as they take a look at what's going on in your environment. So even middle-sized companies that have 20 terabytes of data, this can be an effective tool and priced appropriately for your size of environment as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much. That actually is the extent of the Q&A for today. However, I would just put it to Kyle and Dante, even Larry, if there are any other comments or even example use cases, as Larry had shared, with respect to using Cloud Insights in the wild, in the real world, and how that has solved some common business challenges. Anything else to add there?
No, this is Larry. I would just tell you the reasons that most of our customers have bought it has been one or two or use cases out of what Kyle described. Often what we find is once the client gets it, they find and discover a lot of other things that they necessarily thought were under control that maybe they didn't have visibility into, and the benefits are usually multiple times what they thought they were going to get. Finding storage that could be repurposed or compute, right? Finding the ways to enhance their security and harden their infrastructure. So there's been benefits that people have found that was not the primary reason that they bought it. But a free trial, guys, for 30 days. Kick the tires. If it's something that you're interested in, talk to your C-store rep. Call me, call Kyle. I think you're going to find some, hopefully not too many surprising things, but you're going to find some interesting things that are going to help you be more productive and help your company have a more productive and a better security on your environment.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Larry. That actually concludes our session for today. Just a reminder, if you would like to learn more about Cloud Insights, you can reach out to Kyle and or Dante with NetApp, and of course your C-store rep. So thank you again to our experts for today, Kyle Coons and Dante Mancini from NetApp, and of course to Larry for sharing his insights as well. We hope to see you on another event very soon, and look forward to more insights to come. Have a wonderful rest of your day.